Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says lawmakers have reached a deal to extend the debt ceiling through early December. Congress has agreed to raise the Treasury Department's borrowing authority by $480 billion. This extends the debt ceiling until December 3rd, averting a crisis that would have led to a recession. CBS News' Debra Alfarone reports from Washington.
Senate Republicans and Democrats have struck a compromise to raise the debt limit, at least temporarily.
We have reached agreement to extend the debt ceiling through early December, and it's our hope that we can get this done as soon as today.
Negotiations began after Minority Leader Mitch McConnell released a statement Wednesday saying his party would temporarily give up its objections, allowing Democrats to raise the ceiling into December.
Republican and Democratic members and staff negotiated through the night in good faith. The Senate is moving toward the plan I laid out yesterday to spare the American people a manufactured crisis.
The extension means we could be right back here in 2 months unless Democrats find a way to extend it further on their own.
Democrats could fold an extension of the debt limit into a multi-trillion-dollar social spending package if they can find a compromise that everyone in their party can support.
48 out of 50 members of the Senate Democratic Caucus support the bill, and 210 members, about 96% of the House Democratic Caucus, support the bill. And by the way, the President of the United States supports the bill.
Senators Kyrsten Sinema of Arizona and Joe Manchin of West Virginia are the holdouts citing concerns over the price tag. Debra Alfarone, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
For more on this, I want to bring CBS News Chief White House correspondent Nancy Cordes. Hi, Nancy. So what's the reaction from the White House on this short-term deal to extend the debt ceiling?
Well, they are expressing relief that the full faith and credit of the United States will no longer be in doubt, but they've also made it clear they don't think very much of this offer that was put forth yesterday by the Republican leader in the Senate, Mitch McConnell. They argue, why not just go ahead and do the safest thing and raise the debt ceiling right now, not for 2 months, but for a year or more. They say that is entirely within the reach of Congress. They could do it right away. So the argument that White House officials are making, and frankly a lot of Democrats on the Hill are making, is that Mitch McConnell blinked here, that he caved, and that he is now willing to put forth this offer to allow Democrats, still all by themselves, to raise the debt ceiling for a couple of months. But they'll take the deal because the alternative is that they would be tied up in this negotiation with a very high stakes, defaulting on the line, when really what they'd like to do is to focus on getting this big $2 trillion spending bill that's being negotiated right now among Democrats over the finish line instead.
Perfect segue for my next question, Nancy, because of course they are still working on passing the Build Back Better measure, the key part of President Biden's agenda. What's the strategy now and the mood, at the Biden administration at this point? Is the White House expressing optimism, frustration? What's the mood?
They're keeping things pretty low key. They have been very reluctant to sort of share day-to-day developments about their negotiations with Joe Manchin of West Virginia, with Kyrsten Sinema of Arizona. We all know that those are the two Democratic senators who need to be won over. And actually, Senator Manchin was here at the White House again, meeting with the president this morning before the president headed off to Chicago for a vaccine event. But what I can tell you, very interesting, you heard part of it in that piece by Debra Alfarone, we're hearing more explicit frustration from other Democratic lawmakers like Bernie Sanders, who kind of let it all out yesterday talking about Joe Manchin. Up until now, a lot of Democrats have been really holding their fire because they don't want to do anything that will mess up these negotiations. They don't want to publicly pummel Manchin or Sinema when they so badly need their support. But what Bernie Sanders was expressing frustration about was the fact that nobody seems to know where these two lawmakers stand, what it would take to get them to a deal, particularly when it comes to Kyrsten Sinema. And, he made the case that, look, you've got 48 Democratic senators and the White House all on board with one plan, and yet these two individuals are able to stand in the way and force not just small changes around the edges, but really major changes that could result in this bill being half the size that it is right now. That is the kind of power that one or two members of a party typically don't have and would be reluctant to wield, knowing that everybody else in the party is on the same page. But every time reporters talk to Joe Manchin, he's not backing down. In fact, he isn't even showing right now that he's willing to come off of his position, which is even lower than what the White House has suggested, $2 trillion, which again is a huge step down from the $3.5 trillion bill that they want. He's still sticking with $1.5 trillion, at least publicly.
All right, Nancy Cordes at the White House, thank you so much.